Alright, let's finally talk about Schedule 1. We've been playing Schedule 1 a lot for the last couple weeks, and I have these two save accounts. This was my first one, this was a little sloppy, and then I restructured, and we're at 782,000 net worth. And the goal was to get to 1 million, but the thing about this game, which is basically one of the main points that I want to talk about, is that it runs out of stuff to do. Not There's still things to do. Like I can still make other combinations and variations, mixes of weed, meth, and coke. But like I've kind of gotten it down to a point where a lot of it is streamlined. I want to show you all of my locations. I actually don't have the barn, but in this motel, and obviously when you start the game, you only have access to weed, and it's pretty limited in space. You have your packing station, your bed, trash, whatever. And I had four of these running, and at the beginning, I just kind of basic weed and stuff, and then eventually you start unlocking some other areas like other areas to run your business. The next one being this one right here, which is this little room above the Chinese food spot. And I had 11 growers. And then I also had, there's ways to automate. And in the beginning, you can't hire people yet. You have to progress into the story and later on unlocking other things. But there's also little planter watering things, which I took them from here and I moved them to my other one. But that helps you grow things even faster, helps you get your production down. And then there's also these things called mixers, which is kind of, these are really important in the game. You actually don't need to use them, which one of the things that I like about the game is that you're not required to even move up or do anything. Like if you really wanted to, you could just sell weed forever basically, even at the most basic strain, which some people in chat have told me that they do, and I thought that was cool that they were getting pretty close to what I'm making just through that. But as you can see, I just got a text because as you're playing the game, you get text and people say, "Hey, I want this product," and then they'll offer you something. So this person's offering me 1,000 for one thing of this coke that I've made, and I have it at the highest quality heavenly cocaine. And this is actually an 8-step process of mixing because you can either go just a basic thing or like this one for example. This is two mixes. No, this is one mix. So you would take the basic OG. You would put that's why I have so much mouthwash. You put mouthwash in there, and then like these are all the strains I've made. But again, there's way more that you can make. I kind of found things that were optimized and I didn't have to do too much work. But this one was the weed I was selling, the purple cheese. This one sells at 64 compared to the OG, which is 38. So almost double, not quite, but this kind of did speed us up a little bit. And this is just a one single mix. So you grow the plant, add the mouthwash, get the purple cheese. And so that helped us for a bit. And then as you play the game, you start to see like, oh, I need to optimize here. I need to do this better. I need to sell this because on my first playthrough, I was trying to sell like 6 different variations and strains, which you can if you can like manage it properly, then there's nothing stopping you. But I felt like it was better just to only focus on the purple cheese because this was giving me the highest return. Because there were some other ones like this one's 52, this one's 55, this one's 57. So they're all in the 50s, or not all of them, but some of them are. This one's in the 60s, but this one was a single mix and it was offering me 64, so I went with that one. And then when I started getting to the area where I bought this new place called the Bungalow, this is a house, and I was kind of torn on what I wanted to do because I had the whole operation of the weed going, and then I figured, well, the meth, because base meth only sells for 70, which is higher already. The for this thing, but I figured having to buy all the machines and all these other things, I figured it wasn't worth it. But then that's when I finally decided to start mixing a little bit, and I ended up going with thick mint. This is a single mix. You go meth into Viagra, which bumps it up to 102, which is almost double again. But then I finally decided to go with an 8-step mix process, which I was super hesitant on doing. But the thing is, I got to the point where again, there's 8 of these. I have 8 ovens going, and then I also had 2 workers, which they just kind of been standing here because I stopped doing meth. But I had so much stuff going that I could not run out my vendors, because you can also get vendors, and there's a bunch of contacts that you can sell to, and you give them free samples. If they like it, then they'll contact you, they'll send you a text. But also, you can't sell to everyone in a single day. I think you're capped at about 20, 22 people. And so what you need to do is you get these dealers, you give them an upfront amount, and then they also take 20%, and then they'll sell your stuff for you. So then you give them product, they sell things, and then you assign them uh, customers. And so even with all this, I had over like 400 pieces of meth basically, and I just still have all this. That's another 140. I have whatever's in here, and each one of these provides 10, and each one of these provides 10 again. So there's a lot, and I just didn't even take. I just stopped doing it because it was way too much to do. But those mixers here, and it was kind of cool getting to this point because, as I mentioned earlier, I was kind of hesitant on dropping the weed because I had spent so much time creating it and building it up, and I was getting attached to it, I guess, or something. But then I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, this whole point of the game is to make money. And then so I finally decided to make the change. And again, I went with the 8-step process. I was making more money, but at that point of the game is also when I started feeling that there wasn't all that much to the game, because a problem is the game is locked behind levels, and the only way I can show you the levels is if you go to your contacts. So there's these different sections of the game. There are different areas of the map, and so customers stay in those certain areas, and you can only talk to certain people when you're a certain level. But for example, Uptown, because we just passed Suburbia, but if you go to Uptown, you need to be Baron 1. So this is like the highest rank, the bottom of the highest tier of ranks. And in order to level up, you need to spend the whole day. You get XP per thing that you sell. And while the game was fun to figure out and optimize and streamline and see what brings the highest return and the most money, and making sure that you have product all the time, it was fun. But like, it got to the point where again I had like 600 of a certain product, and then even it happened here too because I have 22 planters growing. These are all just coca leaves. I have my drying rack, so they're all just drying there, and then I have my cauldrons and then my oven. So everything's running efficiently. I don't even have a worker here, and I can do all this on my own. I even have 4 mixers, and so I stopped making any product for like a whole in-game week just because of how much stuff I had, and I needed to sell it. And maybe I need to make more at this point, but like there's also delivery, so they bring all the stuff to me that I need. But when I got to this point, this game just started turning into work. It was no longer fun. I wasn't exploring anything. I wasn't learning anything new. I mean, there's new context in this new map, but leveling up takes so long that was just the same day over and over and over again. And every day takes about 20, 25 minutes, but you could also extend it because time stops at 4 a.m. and you can get other things done, like making more product if you need it. But so it's just like hours on end of me doing nothing. And the thing is, again, since everything was so streamlined and optimized, and I liked, because you can make sales during the day. I'm scheduling these for 4 a.m. because if you do that, you can you get this late night, you get a bonus. It's like 20% almost on top of what you would make. Yeah, it's about 20%. And so I figured, and you're not limited to a time constraint, because any of these other three, you have to deliver within that time frame or else they leave. But here again, since time stops at 4 a.m. and it doesn't go past that 6 a.m. threshold, then you can take as long as you want to go deliver. And mostly because the increase, the 20% bonus for the curfew bonus. So, but because I'm doing that, I literally just wait and do nothing for the entire day. I jump and do this weird parkour stuff that you do when you're talking on the phone or when you're bored. And I don't know, the game it lost all its magic, I guess you could say. And I don't want to say that this is a bad game because it was not. It was fun. And it's only $20 and I think I got like 40 hours out of it until I kind of got bored. I was getting close to sort of quitting when I was trying to move into the Coke because that took a really long time just to level up. And I was trying to get to these contacts here at the docks because you need to get this supplier. And they weren't taking my supply for whatever reason, so I wasn't able to unlock him, but also just getting to this area took a long time. And so I was getting bored here, but then it picked up again when I did unlock him. I got all this going, and then I figured this out, and then I got bored again. So, game is fun, and I do like the freedom it gives you to do whatever you want. Because as I mentioned earlier, a viewer on Twitch, they've been successful with just the Granddaddy Purple, which is one of these weed products, and it's just a basic one. And it's cool seeing how different people optimize their things, how different people do their layouts, what they decide to focus on, where they want to do it, and I like the freedom that this game gives you. And it was definitely fun, but I feel like for me personally, at least, I've exhausted the value of this game, and I don't know what they're gonna do in the future because they can add, I guess, another drug, I guess, but it would just sort of turn into the same thing. You get the drug, you figure it out, do your layout, do your space, and then once you figure that out, then you're back to just the same thing over and over again, having nothing to do. Like I have to wait 4 hours right here in order to actually do the deliveries. Which again, I could be out doing the deliveries, but I'd rather get the extra money from doing it at the 4 a.m. So I don't know what sort of balances they are. This game is still early access, I think. And again, it's not bad. I had a lot of fun. I do recommend playing this game, especially if you like simulators, because of how it gets pretty deep, especially with the whole mixing and figuring out the values and stuff. And I mean, if anybody in the comments wants to know the mixture for this, because I've been doing a lot of mixing and I haven't found anything that sells for higher than like 1,000 per. And I saw like 20, 21 of these. So combined with myself and the vendors, we make about 40,000, 45, almost up to 50,000 per day. And that $1 million goal is 100% doable, but just calculating the time that I have to do it, it's just 3 more hours of doing the same thing over and over again, of just waiting and waiting. And so that's the reason I'm not really going to play this game anymore because I just feel like I got everything out of it that it could offer me. But I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. Again, if you like simulators, get this game. Even at full price, I think it's worth the 20, but if it goes on sale for whatever reason, even better. But that's basically all I have to say about this game. And if you have any of the games that you want me to review, let me know. Also, I've been streaming on YouTube here and Twitch and TikTok now because OBS let me. Check me out and let me know what I should do next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. I was gonna sleep, but I haven't sold yet.